And typically, people underestimate the time to completion, not because their task, they know the task very well, but because they underestimate one single thing, what was unplanned. Okay, you think too much into the box within the project. On project, things go right. But the fact that the contractor's mother-in-law was murdered, or that someone, or his wife had, left him or something, you didn't forecast, okay? And these things happen. So this is already, it's a very simple test. You take all projects. Now, it so happened that every time governments try to invade countries, they also have this planning problem, but in a severe way. Nobody ever started a war, okay, planning, and nothing went unplanned. And that was so obvious visibly in the last such event. Okay? So, but I'll let Professor. Now, what's the reason? The reason is what I call the black swan. I'll go very quickly to explain the black swan. All these elements are necessary to see our plan, but the black swan is what I call is a classical, logical story, all right, metaphor, that tells that for a long time, everybody thought that all swans were white. So, so our projection of the swans we're going to encounter were all for them to be white, because all the swans that we saw were white. So it seems to be a very, good empiricism. Now, when they discovered Australia, they saw black swans. So the fact is that all past swans observed were white. It cannot allow you to make the statement that all swans are white. Okay? You cannot go from the particular to the general, just like you cannot from what you've past observed. Typically, when you make projection, you use your past experience, and you underestimate these black swans. So I took a much more aggressive stance. I'm not interested in the logic of black swan. I'm interested in empiricism. And I'm making a very bold statement that much of what happens in history is determined by black swans. They're rare. Nobody pays attention to them. But if you sit down and look at what happened, okay, you will notice that the contribution of black swan is cumulatively huge, but nobody notices. Nobody pays attention to it. And let me show you one simple example. Benoit Mandelbrot, and now we're playing a hoax. Playing a hoax. We drew two S&P lines, and I'll tell you why it's a hoax. We drew two S&P lines. This is last 20 years of S&P, okay? S&P, the future. And there's a difference between these two, is that we removed the 10 most